Okay, I'll go ahead and get started by just welcoming you. Sawadee Krap. Welcome to everyone online as well. Today I'm sharing the introduction to the teachings of the Buddha. This is a 3-hour course where we start with meditation just to kind of help you guys learn a bit about meditation. And then I'm going to be sharing some various content with you to help you understand what a Buddha is, what his teachings are. And then we'll even talk about the very first teaching of the Buddha, which is the 3 universal truths and the 4 noble truths, which will help you to understand the problem in the unenlightened mind, the cause of that problem, the elimination of it, and the path forward. This is the very first teaching that you would need in order to get on the path to enlightenment. So if you'd like to join for meditation, I'm going to start with some chanting to kind of ease us into meditation. Here we have the laminated sheets on the table that you're welcome to help yourself to if you like. For those of you guys online, you can access the chanting sheet if you go to our website, buddhadailywisdom.com, and click on the link that says free books. And there towards the bottom, you'll see the chanting sheet that I'll ease into meditation with the chanting. There's no rites or rituals or ceremonies here with the teachings of the Buddha, but these chants will help to get more benefit out of the meditation itself, because it helps to ease the mind into the meditation where you have some awareness of mind and awareness of the breath. Then once you're in the meditation, I'll provide some guidance to help you along in your meditation. And then there'll be a period of time where it'll just be quiet and we'll just be meditating together. And then we'll come out of the meditation with some more chanting as well. In terms of your seated position, usually if you're on the floor, if you're in a chair, you would like your lower body to be nice and comfortable. In a chair, you probably have your feet flat on the floor or lightly crossed at the ankles. Where here, if you're on the floor, you might just kind of have your legs lightly crossed instead of really tight. Some people like to put their legs off the mat, which gets the hips up in the air and lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles. And then that way you can have your circulation flowing. You won't feel any pain in the body. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If this is comfortable for you, you could use it, but it's not required. It's about everybody doing what you find comfortable. So some people might decide to use this, or you might put your palms flat on your thighs or on your knees. Some people like to put their palms up. Some people like to just rest their palms comfortably in their lap. So whatever's comfortable for you, you can just place your hands and arms wherever you like. The upper body should be erect. This keeps the mind attentive and alert during the meditation. Whereas if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. Or if you were real rigid, the mind would be overactive or uptight. So by having the upper body erect, this keeps the mind attentive and alert during the meditation. So again, I'm going to ease us into meditation with some chanting, which you guys are welcome to join along in. And then afterwards, we'll go into the meditation with some guidance. And then we'll meditate and come out with some guidance or with some chanting as well. So if you'd like to join along, just make yourself comfortable, and then I'll guide you in meditation after the chanting. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Wat Tung Bhagavanang Apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Rammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma samputtassa iti pisu makawa arahang samma sambuddho vicacaranang sammuno sakato rokawitu anuttara purisa dhamma sati satatawa manussanang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathe in gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose, or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. ระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเขวาพุทธังมหาเขวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเขวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเขวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหาเขวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิโตอนุเตโรปุริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly ease your way out of meditation, okay, so as I mentioned, this is our introduction to the teachings of the Buddha course, where just over the next 2.5 hours, I'm going to be sharing some content with you guys to help you to understand the teachings of the Buddha. And we're going to take a break at some point too, to give you guys a chance to rest and relax, get to talk to each other, spend some time using the restroom or whatever it is you'd like to do. By the way, there is a restroom in the back of the room. You're welcome to use it at any time. And we even have water and snacks and things like that that you're welcome to help yourself to. So the first thing that I share as part of this course in terms of introducing you to the teachings of the Buddha is, first, let's just talk about what a Buddha is. So a Buddha is an individual who attains enlightenment by themselves. What enlightenment is where the mind's peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy permanently. You no longer experience any discontent feelings. Anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy, even the slightest displeasure is eliminated from the enlightened mind. And a Buddha is an individual who figures out how to do that by themselves without the help of any teachers or any guides. So that's the first criteria of what makes a Buddha a Buddha. You'll be able to get to enlightenment, but you wouldn't be a Buddha at that point. So once a person awakens to enlightenment as a Buddha, they're then going to share their independently discovered teachings with countless people, helping countless people during their lifetime get to enlightenment. In Gotama Buddha, from the age of 35 to 80, he helped people get to enlightenment for 45 years. Countless people got to enlightenment during his lifetime. And then a Buddha Buddha is going to preserve their teachings in such a way that countless more people can get to enlightenment after their death. These are the three main criteria. They get to enlightenment without the help of teachers or guides. They dedicate the rest of their life to sharing their independently discovered teachings, and countless people get to enlightenment. And then they preserve their teachings in such a way that countless more people can get to enlightenment after their death. The thing that allows a Buddha to be able to get to enlightenment by themselves, an individual who's going to become a Buddha, they have a very deep memory, a very profound memory. The average person has a certain limited capacity in your mind in terms of things that you can remember. So that's why, like, if you think back to your childhood, you have very spotty memories. You don't have direct recall of all the different things that were happening in your childhood. Maybe the last 5 years or 10 years, you kind of remember the things that are happening. But an individual who's going to become a Buddha, they will have clear and concise and precise memory of things that have been happening all throughout their current life, in their past lives too. Even you can remember your past lives, but a Buddha, a person who's going to become a Buddha, they will have this deep memory. They have an unlimited capacity. It's kind of like a hard drive. Like, you have a certain hard drive, like 500 gigabytes or 1 terabyte. And when you experience certain things in life, you have to delete old files in order to store new files. But an individual who's going to become a Buddha, they don't have that. They have an unlimited capacity. So they're not deleting old files. They retain the wisdom from this life and previous lives, and they bring it all together to be able to get to enlightenment in their last life by themselves. So they have this deep, profound memory that helps them to get to enlightenment by themselves. They can also quickly determine the condition of somebody else's mind, but they only do this in order to help them to be able to get to enlightenment, because a Buddha is going to have certain students that are learning with them. And as students are learning with them, a Buddha can observe the quality of their student's mind and then be able to help them to be able to get to enlightenment through offering them teachings that would be able to help them. And then a Buddha is going to be a living, breathing, walking example of their teachings, that this is one of the ways that their students learn. That a Buddha doesn't teach one thing and then do something completely opposite. This isn't actually what a Buddha would do. A Buddha would be teaching something in a class like this, but then they would be practicing that same thing as well, because their students are learning through their spoken words, but they're learning just as much through their actions. So a Buddha understands that their students are learning through their actions, so the students are watching that individual and observing, how do they speak? How do they interact in the world? Are they polite and kind and friendly or respectful? So a Buddha is going to be a living, breathing, walking example of their teachings, so that their students can observe those various qualities of enlightenment and then be able to practice to be able to attain enlightenment. So these are some of the qualities of what a Buddha is, so that you'll know what you're actually embarking on in terms of getting an introduction to his teachings. So let's talk about what the teachings of the Buddha are, and then I'm going to open up for questions as we get going here, as we share this various content. The path to enlightenment is a purification of the mind. What you're doing is you're developing a life practice where you're developing wisdom to be able to train the mind. And as you purify the mind of certain pollutions that the Buddha discovered, using the tools and techniques that he shares, you'll start to notice these various qualities in the mind. You'll notice that there's this mental state that you can either attain in this life or at death, where the mind's peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. It's a permanent mental state that once you get to enlightenment, your mind will not regress. It's impossible for an enlightened being to experience anger, because you've eliminated the causes and conditions that are producing it, and all those other discontent feelings, that their mind's just permanently peaceful and joyful. They no longer experience any of those discontent feelings that I was mentioning: the sadness, anger, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, boredom, loneliness, shyness, jealousy, resentment, stress, anxiety. All of these and others are eliminated because you've eliminated the causes and conditions that are producing it. You've purified the mind. You'll notice that there's this high degree of focus, concentration, memory, and clarity of mind. You'll notice that you have politeness, kindness, and respect, this friendliness towards all beings. Like right now, you might find that to be challenging because of these certain pollutions in your mind. There might be certain people that you can be polite and respectful to, but there's maybe other people in your life that you have a very difficult time being polite and respectful to. And that's just because of the pollutions that are in the mind. And when you uproot those and eliminate them, you'll be able to be polite, kind, friendly, and respectful to everybody and anybody, and not causing harm to others. And because of this, your personal and professional relationships will really blossom. blossom. As long as you're bitter and harsh and hostile in your relationships, that's all going to come back to you. So whatever you put out, that's all going to come back to you. So when you can transform your mind to be polite, kind, friendly, respectful to everybody, then more and more, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years of you doing that, more and more people are just going to be polite, kind, friendly, respectful to you. Because whatever you put out, this is what's going to come back to you. The way that this is accomplished is through elimination of craving, anger, and ignorance. These are referred to as the 3 poisons, or the 3 unwholesome roots, or the 3 fires. What craving is these selfish desires, the longing, the yearning, the mind chasing after the objects of your affection, thinking that this next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide some lasting satisfaction. So the mind chases it and chases it and chases it and chases it. And if you get what you want, you get happy. But if you don't get what you want, you get sad or frustrated or agitated. So the mind will just chase and chase and chase and chase and chase, trying to get happiness from something external, thinking that if I have more money, or if I have a new car, or if I have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or if I have a better job, or a bigger house, or this, that, or the other thing. It's like the mind has an unquenchable thirst. That's what craving is, that the mind's just chasing after things. And again, if you get what you want, you get pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But if you don't get what you want, you get painful feelings like the anger and the sadness and frustration and agitation and annoyance. And when that anger is arising, which is the second unwholesome root, you'll be bitter and harsh and hostile to people typically. This is what the unenlightened mind does, is because it doesn't understand what the real problem is. The real problem is inside your own mind, but the unenlightened mind will falsely believe that the problem is external. You'll think your mom is making you angry, or your dad is making you angry, or your brother, or your sister, or your boss, or your coworkers. And what you'll tend to do when that anger arises is, because you're uncomfortable with those painful feelings, you will tend to push people away out of your life, thinking that that's going to solve the problem. So you might push people out of your life. This is called aversion, that you push a person or a situation out of your life. But it doesn't solve the problem, because it's only a matter of time before you get angry, irritated, or annoyed again. So if that was the real cause of the problem, and you fixed the problem, when you push that person out of your life, you wouldn't get angry anymore. But that's not the real problem. That's not the real cause of the problem. The second thing the unenlightened mind will do when it doesn't understand the problem is it'll be bitter, harsh, and hostile towards people, and you'll damage your relationships. Or the third thing you'll do is put your expectations on people and try to control people to do things your way. And this is because the anger is arising. Those are uncomfortable feelings, they're painful, and the mind thinks the way that I can solve this is I'll either push this person away, or I'll be bitter, harsh, and hostile and fear them into doing things my way, or I'll put my expectations on them and control them and get them to do things my way, and then I'll get those pleasant feelings. This is what's going on in the deep inside the mind. And where all this is coming from is this third unwholesome root, which is called ignorance, or the unknowing of true reality, the delusion, the confusion, the misunderstanding and misperception, that the mind just lacks wisdom. That's what this third universe, or this third unwholesome root is it's that the mind just lacks wisdom. It just doesn't understand what it doesn't understand. In the unenlightened state, we firmly believe that other people are causing us to be angry. We firmly believe this until you learn the teaching that I'm going to teach you today, which is called the Four Noble Truths, where you can learn, you can independently verify, and you can practice and see the truth for yourself that your own mind is causing these discontent feelings. So when you purify your mind of these 3 poisons, or these 3 unwholesome roots, or these 3 fires, this is where you'll see these qualities of enlightenment starting to shine through. It's kind of like the sun, and there's these clouds, and when the clouds are slowly opening up, the qualities of the sun start coming through. The rays of the sun start shining through. It's the same thing that when you're clearing out the pollution of your mind, the qualities of enlightenment start to shine through. The natural state of the mind is enlightenment, but the pollutions hinder the mind from being able to experience that. So this is where you can experience that by eliminating craving, anger, and ignorance from the mind. Some other things to understand about the teachings of the Buddha is that he's teaching you the natural laws of existence. He's not giving you rules or commandments or anything like this. He's teaching you about the natural world around you. The main natural law that he's teaching you is the natural law of Gama. Some people refer to this as karma. You might have heard this. The Sanskrit language uses the word karma. The Pali language, which the original teachings of the Buddha are in, it uses the word Gama. So people who study the original teachings of the Buddha will tend to use the word Gama. What this word means is it means cause and effect, or action and result. It's the results of your decisions. If it translated to just one English word, I would just use that word because it'd be easier for everyone. But it doesn't translate to just one English word. So it's this cause and effect, or action and result. It's the results of your decisions. It's not punishments and rewards. It's not anything mystical or magical. It's not something that you believe in. And there's no being that's overseeing it. It's a natural law that's just functioning all the time. And you can see the truth for yourself, that when you make wise decisions, you experience wholesome results. When you make unwise decisions, you experience unwholesome results. So this path to enlightenment is this gradual learning, this reflection, and this practice where you gradually learn and examine and investigate the teachings. You reflect on them to independently verify them, and you integrate them into your life and practice them and see the real results. So the Buddha's teachings are helping you to understand how the world is. He didn't explain the way the world should be, and that if you follow these rules and commandments, then the world will become peaceful. He's not doing that. What he's doing is he's explaining to you the way the world is through these natural laws. Because if you live in a world that you don't understand, you will struggle. You will have difficulties. If you've ever watched the news and you're like, I just don't understand why those people do those things, right? Or if your parents or your brothers and sisters do something, you're like, I just don't understand why they keep doing that, right? You just don't understand the world that you live in. So by understanding the way the world is, you can gain this wisdom, and now you can navigate the world more readily through these natural laws. So this is training of the mind to experience this complete peace and joy through acquiring wisdom of these natural laws. As you learn these natural laws, you're eradicating the pollution from the mind. The teachings of the Buddha are timeless, that what he spoke about 2,500 years ago is just as applicable today as it was 2,500 years ago. He spoke very clear, very concise, and very precise. When you see his words, it's very clear. You don't have to interpret his words. You don't have to figure out what he said. He speaks very clear and very concise. These natural laws that he's describing in his teachings, it's the same natural laws that existed then that exist now. So that's why his teachings are just as applicable during his lifetime as they are now. He did teach about the cycle of rebirth in these 5 realms of existence. He taught about hell, the animal realm, the afflicted spirit realm, which some people refer to as ghost, the human realm, and the heavenly realm. Now, the cycle of rebirth in these 5 realms, it is the truth. You can actually independently verify this. Just like all the teachings of the Buddha can be independently verified, you might not have the wisdom right now of how to independently verify these, but as you progress on your journey to enlightenment, you can independently verify that the hell realm exists, that of course you know the animal realm exists, the afflicted spirit realm, the ghost realm, of course you know the human realm exists, and even the heavenly realm. But this isn't a real focal point of the teachings of the Buddha. The real focal point is you acquiring wisdom to train your mind and purify the mind and eradicate the pollutions. But this cycle of rebirth was taught by the Buddha for several reasons. One reason is because it's the truth, and it's really truly actually what's occurring. And if you didn't understand that, you could really struggle. If you started to clear out this pollution out of your mind and you started having residual memories of your past lives and you didn't understand that you had these past lives, it could really shake you up. Say you started having memories of being murdered, and of course you know it wasn't in this life because you're alive. Well, it could really shake you up if you didn't realize that this was from your past lives. Or say you started having communication with beings from these other realms, like the hell realm or the animal realm, or of course you've been involved with the animal realm, but like the afflicted spirit realm or the heavenly realm. These are all what we call formless realms. These beings in hell, afflicted spirits, and heavenly realm, they don't have form, right? So if you start getting communication with beings that you can't see, it could really shake you up. And this is something that can actually occur. As you're starting to clear out the pollution of your mind, you can experience communication with beings from these other realms. Or some people can actually see these beings. Even though they're formless beings, some people can see heavenly beings. or hell beings or afflicted spirits or ghosts. And if you don't understand that this is the way the world is, it could really shake you up. So the Buddha taught the cycle of rebirth for a reason, because it's true. And these other reasons that you might observe memories from your past lives, you might have communication from these beings, or you might actually see them. And if you didn't understand that you were constantly stuck in this cycle of rebirth, someone might come to the conclusion that when they experience painful feelings in this life, that an option might be to kill yourself. And that's the way to get away from the painful feelings. But if you understand the cycle of rebirth, and you understand that killing yourself isn't actually going to solve anything at all, because you're still stuck and you're going to keep coming back over and over and over again. So you can escape these painful feelings by learning and training your mind. So this cycle of rebirth, I suggest that people set it aside when they're first learning. The Buddha did teach it for a specific reason, but it's not really something you need to learn when you first get started on the path to enlightenment. After maybe a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, that's the time to really approach the cycle of rebirth. But just understand that it's there and it's something that the Buddha taught, but you can set it aside, because what happened in the past, it's in the past. It doesn't matter anymore. And what may or may not happen in the future, it's in the future. It hasn't happened yet. Right now, you're in the human state. Your mind is discontent. You experience anger and sadness and frustration and all these other discontent feelings. It's important to eliminate those from the mind. And that's what you would like to focus on, is those core central teachings that are going to help you do that. And that's why today I'm going to help you learn that very first teaching. The Buddha did teach about God. He taught about this being of God, but he didn't make God a central role in his teachings. He didn't place him at the center of his teachings, because it's not God that determines whether you get to enlightenment or not. God is another being that is in the cycle of rebirth, but he's not the one that's controlling the world. The things that you experience in the world is based on you, in your decisions. And God's not the one who determines whether you get to enlightenment or not. So he didn't place God at the center of the teachings. He placed you at the center of his teachings, that you're the one who's learning and growing and developing. So everything he taught is all about you and helping you. So he didn't put God in the central point of his teachings, but he did teach about God. Sometimes people are confused about this, and you'll see people that say the Buddha rejected God or the Buddha denied the existence of God. This isn't actually true. If you read his original teachings, you'll see that he talks about God at different times in his teachings. The teachings of the Buddha are assembled in what's called the Pali Canon. The Pali Canon is the largest, most complete collection of the teachings of the Buddha, and there are 45 volumes of large books about this thick. The book series that I share, which is 13 volumes, it consolidates this down into something manageable that you can learn and develop and grow to be able to get to enlightenment. But just understand that everything that I share comes back to this source of the Pali Canon. The Pali Canon was written down shortly after the death of the Buddha. The students that got to enlightenment, which there were countless, 500 of them got together after his death, and they started to assemble his discourses. Because once you get to enlightenment, you're not going to forget those teachings. You will never forget the teachings that it took for you to get to enlightenment. So these 500 beings got together and documented what it was that the Buddha taught, because during his lifetime it was an oral tradition, but then shortly after they started to document his teachings. Because the technology to write things down didn't exist in the region of the world that he was in. The technology to write things down existed in China, but it hadn't made its way yet to that region of the world. So the language that the Buddha spoke, it was an oral tradition. But by the time he died, the teachings were able to be captured and written down. So they wrote them down shortly after his death, and we refer to that as the Pali Canon. This is the 45 volumes of books, but the consolidated book series that I share is also from the Pali Canon, but it's consolidated to make it more manageable for you. And then lastly, to think about what the teachings of the Buddha are, is it's to heal from what hurt you so that you never need to hurt ever again. But understanding what hurt you is inside your own mind. The things that hurt you aren't external. Oftentimes people think that's the case. They think that this person is causing you to be angry or frustrated, or this situation is causing you to be angry or frustrated. So once you understand today what's actually causing this pain and what's causing you to hurt, then you can actually heal from what hurt you so that you never need to hurt ever again. By the time you get to enlightenment, you will never feel painful feelings in the mind ever again. You'll still have physical pain, but it'll be very muted and very minimal, but you won't have mental anguish. You won't have the mental pain that we often experience in the unenlightened state. That's completely eliminated. So I tend to share with people that the teachings of the Buddha are to heal from what hurts you so that you never need to hurt ever again. So now let's talk about what the teachings of the Buddha are not. This is a way to help you understand what the teachings of the Buddha are, is to explain what the teachings of the Buddha are not. The teachings of the Buddha are not beliefs, doctrine, concepts, opinions, or views that will produce a pleasant afterlife if you believe in them, and an unpleasant afterlife if you do not believe in them. This isn't what the Buddha taught. He didn't teach rules and commandments. His teachings aren't for you to experience something better when you die. His teachings are so you can experience something better now in this life. And this is how you'll know that his teachings are actually working, because as you're learning and developing and growing on the path, you'll see the condition of your mind improving. Because you know in situations where you get angry and frustrated and agitated, and when you experience those same situations and you've been learning and practicing these teachings and you don't experience anger anymore in that situation, or you don't get frustrated, or you don't get stressed anymore in that particular situation, you'll know it's from these teachings. So these teachings are there to help you in this life. It's not about an afterlife and what's going to happen after. It's all about helping you in this life. So the teachings of the Buddha, they're not beliefs, because with belief, you don't know what's true or false. It's not a doctrine or concepts or opinions or views. He's teaching you these natural laws. And then some people refer to the teachings of the Buddha as a religion. I don't refer to them that way. Well, if you think about religion as like an organization with one person at the top and people are disseminating teachings, and then there's certain rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship, and this person at the top is maybe telling everybody what they should and shouldn't be doing. If you think about religion as rules and commandments that everyone must follow, and then if we follow those rules, then the world will become peaceful. The Buddha's teachings aren't a religion. So if you think about religion this way, you can be sure the teachings of the Buddha aren't a religion, because there's no one person at the top of the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha didn't install an individual at the top of his teachings. They're not rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship. He didn't teach any of that stuff. Even if you go to a Buddhist temple or you're in a place that considers what they're doing Buddhist, if they're doing rites, rituals, ceremonies, and worship, it's not the teachings of the Buddha. And you can be sure that those people have misunderstood his teachings. And if people are presenting the teachings of the Buddha as rules and commandments, that these are rules, no, the Buddha didn't teach rules. He taught guidance, that if you understand these natural laws, you can train your own mind. Whether you choose to practice the teachings, it's up to you. If these were rules of forbidden activity, who's going to enforce those rules? Normally when there's rules, there's someone that's going to enforce them, like a police officer. Nobody's going to enforce these rules. The natural law of Gotama is affecting you whether you're aware of it or not. So you will be affected by the natural law of Gotama, and he's giving you guidance of the natural law of Gotama, but he's not giving you any rules to follow. You wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment if you were just following a bunch of rules. So these are what the teachings of the Buddha are not. They're also not punishments and rewards. Sometimes when you're learning traditions like this, people talk about punishments and rewards, and then there's kind of this fear that comes in to try to convince somebody to learn and practice teachings. The Buddha never does that. He doesn't try to guilt, shame, or fear you into anything. He doesn't use punishments as a way to fear you into something, and he doesn't use rewards about some afterlife if you learn and practice his teachings. He already got to this peaceful and joyful mental state. He's not even trying to convince you to learn his teachings. He's just, hey, if you would like to learn, here it is. And if you're not interested to learn, that's fine too. His teachings aren't mystical and magical. There's not a bunch of superstition and auspicious things that he taught. His teachings are very practical. They're tools and techniques to help you purify your mind and train your mind to get to enlightenment. The teachings of the Buddha aren't something to attempt to force other people to do or convince other people to do. Sometimes when people are learning something like this, they think the first thing they need to do is go outside and convince other people to do it. But this isn't the teachings of the Buddha. The teachings of the Buddha are for you to learn and practice. If other people chose to come and learn, okay, wonderful, they come and learn. But if they don't, that's fine too. They're just going to continue to experience anger and sadness and frustration and all these other discontent feelings. you'll become more and more peaceful. But those people who choose not to learn, they're not going to be able to get to that mental state through what it is that they're doing. They're going to need to cultivate their mind and train their mind. So this practice is all about your practice. It's not about convincing other people to do anything at all. The Buddha's teachings aren't these short, catchy phrases that will produce some sort of benefit in your life. Sometimes if you look at social media or something like this, someone will have a short little catchy phrase and then they'll put the Buddha, like as if the Buddha said this thing. But oftentimes when I research those things, 99.9% of the time, it's not even the words of the Buddha. It's somebody else that said that, and they just put the Buddha's name there to kind of give it some kind of authenticity or credibility, right? So the Buddha didn't teach all these short little catchy phrases. His discourses are actually quite extensive and quite detailed. And if you learn them, you'll be able to see what he actually taught, and then you'll be able to reflect on it, to independently verify it, and then practice it and see that it works to improve the condition of your mind and the condition of your life. It's also important to understand what the teachings of the Buddha aren't, is they're not teachings that are stuck in a cultural past that degrades and denigrates people. Sometimes people think that the Buddha denigrated and degraded people, particularly women. People will say that, but this isn't actually true. I've read a significant portion of the Pali Canon, and I've never seen anywhere that the Buddha ever degrades or denigrates anybody at all, including women. In fact, I saw just the opposite. When you study his original teachings, he's teaching people to be polite and kind and friendly and respectful. There's places where he's teaching husbands to respect and honor their wife, and he's teaching women to honor and respect their husband. He even talks about same-gender relationships in his teachings as well, because that was happening during his lifetime as well. So he never denigrates or degrades anybody at all. It's just the opposite. An enlightened being, and surely a Buddha, isn't going to denigrate or degrade anybody whatsoever. They look at everybody as being equal. So if you ever hear anybody that tells you that the Buddha denigrated women or any other group of people, it's not true. The Buddha had no hate or no animosity towards anybody by the time he got to enlightenment. So his teachings aren't stuck in a cultural past, and they're not denigrating or judging other people. This is why his teachings can be applied today, just like they were able to be applied 2,500 years ago, because they're timeless. He's describing these natural laws that have existed during his lifetime, and they exist now as well. So do you guys have any questions on any of these things that I just shared? You have a question? Could you use the microphone here? That way the people online will be able to hear you. All you need to do is press the gray button, and then the light will come on, and then you just hold it up to your mouth. And you can even keep it with you, because that way if you need it, you'll have it.
So the first question is, you have mentioned desire, anger, and ignorance. Mm-hmm. And I can't figure out the difference between desire and ambition. We want to accomplish something, mm-hmm. and we want to set objectives and make our best to fulfill it. But if is that a desire, I can't figure it out.
Okay, let me help you with this. And this is actually going to be described here next when I talk, but I'll help you here now since you're asking now. This is a great question. Craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations, we describe this as what's going on in the mind. It's the longing, the yearning, the thinking something external is going to provide some kind of lasting satisfaction. So have you ever been in the mall and you saw a brand new pair of shoes, and you're like, oh yeah, brand new pair of shoes. Oh, they're so beautiful. I want those so badly. Or a new piece of jewelry, or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or a new car, where your mind's just longing, yearning, and pulling towards it, thinking that this thing is going to provide some kind of lasting satisfaction. So the mind chases after it. And if you get what you want, you get happy. But if you don't get what you want, you get sad. So when you see those shoes in the window of the store, you're like, oh, I want those shoes so badly, and you're so excited. So you go into the store and you ask for the shoes, and then you ask for your size, and they're like, oh, sorry, we don't have your size. And then you're frustrated because you didn't get what you wanted. You didn't get what you expected. You didn't get what the mind was longing and yearning for. That's what a craving, desire, attachment is. What ambition is, this is motivation. This is encouragement. This is enthusiasm, where You can have that based in wise decision making, not based in craving, desire, attachment. So a perfect example is like me sharing these teachings. I have ambition, I have enthusiasm, I have motivation to share these teachings. I would like to see more and more people learn them and get to enlightenment, but I don't crave it. I don't want it. I don't expect it. So if I have a classroom full of 50 or 100 people, great. There's 50 or 100 people here. If I have a classroom full of 2 people, great. I'm still going to teach the class because I enjoy teaching the 1 or 2 people just as much as I do the 100 people, right? So it's about wise decision making, that you make decisions based in wisdom. So if you have certain goals in your career or certain personal goals that you have, you can pursue those based on wise decision making with ambition, with motivation, with enthusiasm and things like this. But when you have craving, you can only be happy if you get what you want. You can't be happy any other way. That it's called conditional happiness. And you'll see me explain this when we get to the Four Noble Truths. We'll talk about craving, desire, attachment a little bit more. But these are 2 separate things. Craving, desire, attachment, and ambition and motivation, they're 2 separate things. And you can have ambition and motivation without craving, desire, attachment. But the unenlightened mind doesn't know how to do that because of its lack of wisdom. In the unenlightened state, all you know is to chase things based on your cravings. And you want this, and you want this, and you want this, and you want this, and you just chase it and chase it and chase it and chase it. So one of the first things you need to learn is what is a craving, desire, attachment? But then, slowly but surely, you need to learn how to pursue things in your life with ambition, with motivation, but without craving, desire, attachment. And the mind doesn't know how to do that because it's never done that before. So that's what you're going to be learning as part of your journey, is how to make wise decisions towards a goal, towards an objective, without craving it and longing and yearning for it. Does that make sense? A little bit? Yeah, you're welcome. For those of you guys online, if you have questions, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section, and I'll be able to see that. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand, and I'll call on you, and then you can open up your microphone, and we'll hear you here at the temple, and they'll also be able to hear you on the live stream as well. So let me see if we have any more questions online. Okay, looks like we have some things coming in here. Is this happening at Wat Tung Temple? Yes, this is a introduction to the teachings of the Buddha at Wat Tung. You're welcome to come if you're in Chiang Mai, but yes, it's at Wat Tung. Love to study and learn Buddhism. Okay, just a couple of comments. Yeah, welcome to all of you guys. Pleased to see you guys. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions anywhere. All right, so typically what I do during this course is I take a break right here, give you guys a chance to rest a little bit. We've been together for about an hour. Do you guys feel like you need a break? Would you like a little break? Yeah? Okay. So why don't we take like a 15-minute break? It's now 2 o'clock. Let's come back together at 2:15. So for those of you guys online, we're just going to take a 15-minute break, give people a chance to stretch their legs, use the restroom, get some water, and then we'll start back up in about 15 minutes. Okay? So thank you guys. We'll see you back in about 15 minutes. Okay? Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so we're back. Welcome back to those of you guys online. Welcome back to you guys here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you the very first teaching of the Buddha. This is what you would need in order to get started. This is the most crucial, most critical, most important teaching that you'll ever learn from the teachings of the Buddha. It really helps you get started on the path to enlightenment. I'm going to teach you the Four Noble Truths. In 4 simple statements, you're going to understand the problem in your mind. You're going to understand the cause of that problem. You're going to understand how to eliminate it, and you're going to understand the whole path of how to eliminate it. And the way that these teachings work is that you can independently verify them. You don't believe anything that you learn on the path to enlightenment. You can't get to enlightenment through belief, because with belief, you don't know what's true or false. What you're trying to do is get to wisdom. So in order to get to wisdom, you need to be able to see the truth for yourself. So when I walk you through these teachings, I'm going to show you how to independently verify what it is that I'm sharing with you, so that you don't believe me, you don't believe the Buddha, you don't believe the books that I share, you don't believe anything, but you learn, reflect, and practice. Learning is investigating and examining the teachings. Reflecting is to independently verify them, and then practicing them is to integrate them into your life, so now that you can start practicing this wisdom. And this is what we mean when we say awakening to enlightenment or awakening to the natural laws of existence. Your mind is gaining wisdom. That's what you're doing when we talk about awakening. And you needed to awaken to other natural laws throughout your life. You've been learning, reflecting, and practicing, but you probably don't realize it. With the natural law of gravity, when we were growing up, we didn't understand this natural law, and we were affected by it, whether we were aware of it or not. We fell down, we hit our head, we bumped our elbow, we broke our toys. We had all kinds of difficulties and struggles with this natural law of gravity because we lacked wisdom. At 1 year old, 2 years old, 5 years old, we lacked wisdom. So we made all kinds of unwise decisions. We jumped around, we did all kinds of things, and we broke our toys, we broke things, we fell down, we had all kinds of difficulties. But slowly but surely, we saw the truth for ourselves. We could see, yep, there's the natural law of gravity. Yep, it's a real thing. And we started to make wiser decisions about this natural law of gravity. And as we started making wiser decisions, we experienced wholesome results. We stopped being so giddy and bouncing around as we walked down the street. We started tying our shoes a little bit tighter. We started looking at the surface of the sidewalk whenever we were going somewhere, instead of just stumbling over whatever that it was that we were encountering. And now we're at the point where we can climb ladders, we can ride bicycles, we can get on airplanes, because we fully awoke to the wisdom of the natural law of gravity. And that's what the same thing you need to do with the natural laws of existence. That when you have wisdom, you're going to naturally make wiser decisions that lead to more wholesome results. So, for example, this cup of water behind me, I put it behind me. I don't put it in front of me here on this chair. Not because I'm following a rule or commandment, not because somebody told me to do that, but because of my wisdom of the natural law of gravity, I know that it's unwise to put it right here because it's going to spill. I'm going to knock it over. So you're going to naturally make wiser decisions when you understand the wisdom of a natural law, and I choose to put it behind me so that it doesn't tip over and it doesn't spill. Right? So when you understand the natural laws through acquiring wisdom, then you're going to naturally make wiser decisions. So I'm going to guide you through understanding first the 3 universal truths, which is a core central teaching of the Buddha, and then the 4 noble truths. What this makes up is what we call right view. What you're going to see is that the Eightfold Path is the core central teaching of the Buddha, where the 4 noble truths and the 3 universal truths plugs into that, and it integrates. All the teachings of the Buddha integrate into this Eightfold Path. So what this Eightfold Path is it's 8 individual factors that you're learning, and you're dialing these in closer and closer to your life. This is your life practice. So if you had a speaker system and you were trying to get a better quality sound out of these speakers, you would dial these dials in and tweak these dials, all 8 of them, and you would get a better and better quality sound out of the speakers. Well, the same thing is true about your mind, that you would like to get a better and better quality mind, more focus, more clarity, more concentration, better memory, the ability to interact with your personal and professional relationships, getting rid of those discontent feelings. This is the Eightfold Path, that you're dialing these dials in closer and closer. right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And in various classes and courses and retreats, I go through this and I teach it in detail. It's organized into these 3 sections of wisdom, moral conduct, and mental discipline. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to right view so that you can understand right view and start understanding the 4 noble truths, those 4 statements that's going to help you to understand the problem, the cause, the elimination, and the path forward. In order to understand the 4 noble truths, you need to first understand the 3 universal truths. But like I said, you don't believe these. We call them the 3 universal truths and the 4 noble truths because the Buddha knew that they were true. I know that they're true, and other people know that they're true. But in order for you to get benefit, you need to know that they're true. So you're going to need to learn, reflect, independently verify, and practice. And here I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to teach you this first universal truth. It's called the universal truth of impermanence. What the Buddha is saying is the world around you, all these things around you are impermanent, right? That things arise, they change, and they fade away. What impermanence is constant change. That things aren't permanent, that things are constantly changing around you. They arise, they change, and they fade away. This is the constant change. This is called conditional objects. And pretty much everything that you are around, it's all impermanent. Everything you see around you. Anything you see, anything you hear, anything you smell, anything that you taste on your tongue, anything that comes in contact with your body, and anything that goes through your mind like thoughts, ideas, feelings, these are all impermanent. They arise, they change, and they fade away. This is a core fundamental thing that you need to learn on the path to enlightenment, that there's this constant change in the world. These are called conditional objects. There are things called unconditioned objects. They don't arise, they don't change, and they don't fade away. Enlightenment is an unconditioned object. It doesn't arise, it doesn't change, and it doesn't fade away. The natural laws of existence that the Buddha taught, they're permanent, they're unconditioned. They don't arise, they don't change, and they don't fade away. This is why his teachings are just as applicable now as they were 2,500 years ago. So this universal truth of impermanence is explaining to you that everything around you in the world is all impermanent. Okay, so this is a little bit of the learning of this. But now you don't believe it. Don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything you see in books. Don't believe anything anybody else says. You got to independently verify it. So now what you do is you start trying to find something in the world that is impermanent, that is permanent. If you can find something in the world that's permanent, then you've disproven this, and this isn't a universal truth. So I suggest you start with something you're familiar with, like this human body. Ask yourself, is this body permanent or is it impermanent? If your body's permanent, that means it's never changed your entire life. It's always the same. If it's impermanent, then that means it's constantly changing. So what would you say? Is your body permanent or is it impermanent? You say impermanent? What about you? Impermanent? Those of you online, what would you say? Is it permanent or is it impermanent? This human body, right? It's impermanent, of course, right? It's constantly changing from the time we were in the womb with our mom until the time we came out. This body has been constantly changing. Our hair grows and it changes colors, it changes texture, it changes length, right? We get gray hair, right? Our color changes of our hair, our different lengths of hair. Some people lose their hair, right? They get bald. We have teeth that grow in and then those teeth fall out. And then new ones grow in. That's impermanence. We get a little bit of fat here and there, right? We get a mole or a pimple. That's all impermanence of this physical body, right? So that's the first thing. You can look at the physical body. What about your relationships? Are your relationships permanent or impermanent? If your relationships are permanent, that means people in your life have been constant and steady. You've never had anybody coming in and out of your life. If your relationships are impermanent, then that means you've had people coming and going in and out of your life your entire life. So are your relationships permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, right? People are coming and going in and out of your life. What about your bank account? Is your bank account permanent or impermanent? It's impermanent, right? It's going up and down and up and down. Some people's goes up, up, up. Some people goes down, down, down. It's constantly changing. What about the weather? Is the weather permanent or impermanent? impermanent, right? So we could go on and on and on. And if you need to do this, do it. Go around the world and try to find something that's permanent. You will not find anything in this world that is permanent, right? You walking down the sidewalk, you see a crack in the sidewalk, that is impermanence. You see the height of the sidewalk changes, the color, the shape, the texture, right? Some roads have sidewalks, some roads don't have sidewalks. This is all impermanence. You can see here the wall of the temple, right? You can see the holes and the marks and the different color of paint. This is all impermanence. You can see the floor, the different color of planks of wood on the floor, the carpet. At one time, this carpet was new. Now it's got a couple of stains on it, right? This is all impermanence. Everywhere around you, things are impermanent. This wire that's starting to hang down off of the ceiling, at one time it was up on the wall. Now this wire is starting to hang down. We need to fix that at some point, right? This is impermanence. Things are constantly changing. So this is an important building block to help you understand the Four Noble Truths, because the Buddha is explaining to you the way the world is. He's not explaining to you the way the world should be. He's explaining to you the way the world is. And what he's saying is that the world is impermanent. Everything around you is impermanent. Okay? Now, the second universal truth is called discontentedness. If you studied the teachings of the Buddha in other places, you might have heard people use the word suffering here. I don't use the word suffering because it doesn't really represent what the Buddha was teaching. So I'll explain to you what this universal truth is, and then I'm going to circle back and explain to you why I don't use the word suffering. So the word in the original source teachings that the Buddha uses is dukkha. The word dukkha oftentimes is translated to suffering, but I translate it to discontent, discontented, or discontentedness, because it explains the full spectrum of what the Buddha was describing. What he was describing is that the unenlightened mind experiences three feelings. It experiences pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and feelings that are neither painful nor pleasant. These are conditioned feelings. What a conditioned feeling is that you're basing some feeling on a condition, right? So you get happy, excited, elated, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. These are pleasant feelings. Then there's painful feelings like sadness, anger, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety. This is very painful for you to experience. Then there's feelings that are neither painful nor pleasant. I put boredom and loneliness here, but some people say that's painful for them. So you could put that in the painful category if you like, right? But shyness is a good example. It's not painful, it's not pleasant, it's neither painful nor pleasant. Or say you were sitting on a public transportation like a bus, and somebody came and sat really, really close to you that you didn't know, and your body was touching their body. You might say, oh, it's not painful, it's not pleasant. Maybe you're just kind of uncomfortable with this person sitting so close to you. This is neither painful nor pleasant. Okay, so the Buddha is saying that the unenlightened mind experiences three feelings: pleasant feelings, painful feelings, neither painful nor pleasant. And these are what's called conditioned feelings, that based on some condition, you're going to experience this feeling. So for example, if it's sunny outside, yay, it's sunny, let's go outside and play. I'm so excited, I'm so happy, it's sunny outside. This is a conditioned feeling. And that feeling, it's going to arise, it's going to change, and it's going to fade away. Because you based your inner feeling on the sun is impermanent. So that means your feeling of happiness is impermanent too, right? So when it's not sunny, if it's raining, you're going to be sad. You're going to be frustrated, right? So maybe you wake up in the morning, you see it's sunny outside, you get so excited, and you're thinking, I'm going to go hiking with my friends. We're going to go outside and have fun. Oh, it's going to be great. So now you go take a shower and you come out and it's raining. Oh man, you're so frustrated and agitated because you based your feeling on the condition of the sun. And now that sun is impermanent. So that's why your happiness is impermanent. And that's why you haven't been able to get to permanent happiness. Because if you base your inner feeling on the sun or your bank account or your boss or something else, what your mom and dad do. If your mom and dad does what you want, you'll get happy. If they don't do what you want, you get sad or frustrated or agitated. If your bank account balance is here and you get so happy, when it goes here, you'll get sad and frustrated. This is called a conditioned feeling, okay? An unenlightened being is beyond this. They don't experience conditioned feelings because they train their mind to no longer experience this. That an enlightened being will wake up in the morning, they're already happy. Before they'd even looked outside, they're already happy. And then they see it's sunny outside, sweet. We're going to go outside hiking. I'm going to go out with my friends. This is something we've been interested to do for a long time. Let's go hiking. And now you go take a shower and you come out and it's like, oh, it's raining. Okay, well, I guess we can't go hiking. Maybe we'll go to the mall. Maybe we'll go to the movies. Maybe I'll invite my friends over. I'll cook food for them. It'll be a good time. But you can maintain your joy. You can maintain your happiness because your happiness is unconditioned. It's not based on any condition, right? And even if you don't see your friends today, that's okay. Maybe they're busy doing something else. But if you base your inner feelings on some condition, you can only be happy when that condition is met. So the more cravings, the more expectations that you have in your mind, the amount of time that you can be happy becomes less and less and less and less. This is why people, when they get old, they sometimes are very grumpy and very irritable because they have all these expectations in their mind of the things they want. And they have these conditioned feelings, and they can only be happy if all those conditions are met. But you don't have to be a grumpy old person. You can be a cheerful and joyful old person if you like, but you'll need to train your mind to be able to do that. So some people refer to this as suffering. I don't refer to it as suffering because when you're experiencing that person who came and sat next to you and your body is touching their body, you probably wouldn't say you were suffering in that situation. The mind's uncomfortable. Or when you're happy or excited or elated because it's sunny outside, you probably wouldn't say you were suffering, right? So this suffering describes the painful feelings really well, but it doesn't explain the full spectrum of feelings and emotions that the mind experiences in the unenlightened state. It only explains the painful feelings. So if you use the word suffering, you're only understanding 33% of what the Buddha taught. That means you're missing 66% of what he taught. And if you're missing 66% of a teacher's teachings, good luck in ever getting to enlightenment. There's no way you're going to get to enlightenment if you're missing 66% of his teachings, right? So you would like to get to the point where you understand the full spectrum of feelings that he's talking about in this universal truth. Because what he's saying is every unenlightened mind will experience discontent feelings. And now, the way you independently verify that is you know that you're unenlightened, so you can take a look at this and you can decide, is the Buddha describing what you experience? Do you experience pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant? Are there any feelings that you experience that doesn't fit into one of these three categories? Because if you can discover a certain feeling that doesn't fit into one of these three categories, you've disproven this. It's not a universal truth, right? So this is how you independently verify it. You don't believe what I'm sharing with you. You need to independently verify it because you've been in the world long enough. You can independently verify whether this is true or not. Do you experience pleasant, painful, and neither painful nor pleasant feelings? Okay, so now we're going to move on to the third universal truth, which isn't necessarily a building block for the Four Noble Truths, but it's something I'll introduce to you here so that you can understand it. It's called the universal truth of non-self. This is actually the solution to one of the problems that the Buddha discovered in the mind. The Buddha discovered 10 individual problems. These are called the 10 fetters, or pollutions, or taints. What a fetter is during ancient times, if you were a prisoner, they would put a fetter around your ankle, and this is how they would keep you trapped in a certain area. It was a shackle and a chain and a ball. Nowadays, we put people in prison. We put jail cells. We put bars, right? But back in those times, they didn't have that stuff. So they would put a shackle around your ankle with a chain and a ball, and it would keep you trapped in a certain area. So the Buddha discovered these 10 fetters, these 10 pollutions that are keeping you trapped in the unenlightened state. And it's when you eradicate these 10 fetters that you break free, and your mind is liberated and free from these 10 fetters. So the very first fetter, it's called personal existence view. What this is where the mind thinks that this body or this mind is you. The mind has a misunderstanding. It has a confusion. It has this lack of wisdom, this misperception, that there's a certain self-image that the mind is clinging to, wanting this to be permanent and wanting to be perceived in the world a certain way. And then there's a certain self-identity in the mind that the mind's clinging to, like your culture, your ethnicity, your nationality, your sexual orientation, maybe your job or occupation. These are all potential things that you're clinging to, thinking that this is who you are as a person. So now the problem with this personal existence view, if you cling to this body and this self-image, when somebody says something complimentary to you, you'll get pleasant feelings. They say, oh, that shirt looks so nice on you. It brings out the color of your eyes. Or, oh, your hair is so beautiful. Or, oh, your skin looks so nice. Well, if you think this is you, you'll get these pleasant feelings. But then because of impermanence, it's only a matter of time before somebody says something negative or degrading or disparaging about this physical body. So if you allow your mind to get pleasant feelings when somebody says something agreeable to you about this body, then it's only a matter of time before somebody says something disagreeable. And now you're going to feel painful feelings. You're going to feel sad or angry or frustrated. So the Buddha is saying that this body is not you. It's not who you are. And then the same thing with the self-identity. If you cling to the identity of I am Chinese, or I am a police officer, or I am Belgium, or I am Japanese, or I am Mexican, or I am American, or I am a food server, I am a taxi driver, any of this I am in the mind, I am a Buddhist teacher. If you cling to this thinking that this is who you are, when things start changing in your life, you're going to feel uncomfortable with that. Or say like you're in a job, right? And say you're in a job and you think that I am a police officer, and now you work for 20 years and maybe you get injured and you can't do that job anymore. You're going to feel lost. You're going to feel like a part of you is missing. A part of you is gone because you identify with this is who you are. Or say you identify with I am Chinese, right? And now you're at a restaurant and 2 tables over, somebody's disparaging and degrading people from China, right? And now when you're sitting at this table, you can't control what those people say 2 tables over. All you can do is control your own mind. But if you've got personal existence view in your mind and you think that this is who you are as a person, you will be shaken up when these kinds of things are happening. So if you've ever been at like a social situation and you spilt something on your clothes and you felt embarrassed, this is your personal existence view. Or if you ever saw like a gray hair and you're like, oh my goodness, gray hair, or like a pimple or a mole in the mirror, you saw this, and you're like, oh my goodness, oh, I don't look the way that I want to look, right? I remember as a teenager, I would spend time in the mirror combing my hair so long, putting gel and mousse, trying to get my hair exactly right before I would go outside. Sometimes 15, 20 minutes in front of the mirror trying to make my hair look a certain way. And I could only feel comfortable if my hair looked that way when I went outside. This is personal existence view. The mind's clinging to the body, thinking that this is who you are. And you can only be comfortable when certain criteria are met. So what the Buddha is teaching you is the part of the universal truth of non-self is he says there is no self. This body isn't you. This mind is not you. And as you come to realize that, then you can be more peaceful. Because it's only a matter of time before somebody says something negative or degrading or disparaging about this body or about your self-identity or your nationality or any of these other things. So you can eradicate this from the mind through training of the mind. And this just takes time to gradually do this. You can't just snap your fingers and instantly do this. And oftentimes people don't even understand personal existence view when I first describe it, because you've spent so much time in your life accumulating personal existence view, where the mind thinks that this body is you or this mind is you. Like at birth, we were given the label. I was given the label David at birth. You've been given a label too, and you start associating with this as who you are. But the Buddha is saying that there is no self, that this isn't you. It's not who you are. So there is a body, there is a mind, and it's come together for this existence, but this isn't you. This is just a person that we refer to as a person. The combination of a body, the combination of a mind, and it looks like this, we say that's a person. That's a human being. But this isn't you. It's not who you are. So you can get liberated from any kind of discontent feelings associated with this self-image or the self-identity as you train your mind through the teachings of the Buddha. But you can actually independently verify this now. Even though you may not have an interest to dive into it too deeply right now, you can independently verify that there is no permanent self. Here's how you do it. Think about yourself when you were a child, when you were a teenager, early adulthood, and now. Think about your character and your personality. Have you viewed yourself exactly the same way, or have you been changing? You've been changing, right? So there you can see it there. Here's another way. If your arm was amputated, are you less of a person? If you have one hand and one arm, are you less of a person? You say no? What about you? Are you less of a person if you only have one hand and one arm? No, you're not less of a person, right? So there you can see that your mind has this confusion or this misunderstanding that intellectually you understand this body is not you. You understand that because if I asked you this question, if your arm was amputated, are you less of a person? You would say, yes, I'm less of a person. But intellectually, you understand that, no, I'm not less of a person. I just have less use of a hand and an arm. But your mind is confused because in the situation where somebody says something negative or degrading about this physical body, you'll get angry. You'll get frustrated if somebody says something degrading and disparaging because of the mind's confusion, right? Here's a third way you can independently verify that there is no self. Point to yourself. Where are you? Those of you guys online too, where are you? Can you point to yourself? Usually what people will do is they'll say, I'm right here, right? This is David. I am right here. Or they'll point to their head, right? Well, if you point here and you say, I am here, well, what are you pointing to? Look at what I'm pointing to. Literally, I'm pointing to a shirt. Is this shirt me? That shirt you're wearing, is that you? Is that who you are? Those of you guys online, if you're wearing clothes, is that shirt you, right? If we hold up this shirt and we point to it, is that David? No, that's not David. So let's throw away the shirt. Okay, point to you. Where are you? Someone might point. Well, what are you pointing to? You're pointing to skin. Okay, is the skin you? If we took off the skin and we held it up, is that you? That skin you got? Is that you? Is that who you are? That skin's not you, right? So, okay, we throw away the skin. Where are you? Someone might point. You're pointing to ribs, bones, muscle tissue, fluids, organs. There's no bits and pieces of that that's you. Those are all just little bits and pieces and parts. None of that is you. But the confusion that the unenlightened mind has is this is you. And this is where you get confused when people say something negative or degrading or disparaging. You get angry and you get frustrated because you think this body is you. But you can eliminate that from the mind by training the mind that this body isn't you. And then you make wise decisions to maintain the body and maintain your health. But you just realize that this body isn't you and it's not who you are as a person. So this is a little bit on the universal truth of non-self, but typically as students get going more and more, they need to learn more and more about this. But this is just an introduction to the teachings of the Buddha class, so that's why I'm just going to teach you a little bit about it, but just understand there's more here to learn about that. So these are building blocks to help you understand the Four Noble Truths. But now what I'll do is I'll introduce you to craving, desire, attachment in a more detailed way than what we were talking about earlier, because this is another building block, and then I'll share with you the Four Noble Truths, the very first teaching of the Buddha. There's craving, desire, attachment, expectations, wants, longing, yearning, the mind chasing after the objects of its affection. It's pulling towards the objects of its affection, thinking the next new shiny object is going to provide some lasting satisfaction. The mind is yearning and longing for something. And it's like an unquenchable thirst. The mind thinks that, oh, if I have more money, that's what I need to be happy. I want more money. So you'll chase. You'll get more money and you'll be happy for like a week or two or a month or two. You'll be happy. But then all of a sudden, that's not enough money anymore. And you want more, and you want more, and you want more, and you want more. Or I know what it is, a new boyfriend, a new girlfriend. That's what I need. I need a new boyfriend or girlfriend. Let me chase after that now. And now you might chase after that. And you get that person. And then after 3 months, 6 months, a year, that's not satisfying to you either. The happiness arises, it changes, and it fades away. I know what I want, a new car. I need a new car. Let me chase that. Oh, I know what I want, a new house. Let me chase that. I know what I want, a new job. Let me chase that. The mind just keeps chasing and chasing and chasing, thinking that this next thing is going to provide some kind of lasting satisfaction. So if you've ever been in the mall and you felt your mind pulling towards a new pair of shoes or new jewelry or a new phone or a new computer or a new set of clothes or something like this, this is the longing and yearning. It's not the fact that you need these things. You need clothes. You need money and income. These are things that you need in life. But it's when the mind is longing, yearning for it, that you're setting yourself up for discontentedness, because it's only a matter of time before your mind is experiencing discontentedness. So do you guys know what I'm talking about with craving, desire, attachment? This longing, yearning, this pulling towards something. Have you experienced it? You have? Okay. Have you experienced it? Yeah. Okay. So you guys know what I'm talking about. And those of you guys online too, you can use examples from your life where you can see your mind pulling towards something. There's this unquenchable thirst that the mind's chasing after things. So now I'll explain to you the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth is explaining that everyone that is unenlightened will experience discontentedness. So in the unenlightened state, a being is going to experience those conditioned pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant. Essentially, the mind's going up and down and up and down and up and down throughout your life. This is only a matter of time before you get so excited and so happy about something, but then you're going to drop off and be sad and frustrated, agitated. There's not this peace and joy that is persistent in the mind. The mind's going up and down and up and down. This is the problem in the unenlightened mind. The discontentedness is the problem. The second noble truth is explaining the cause of that problem. Discontentedness is caused by our own cravings, desires, attachments, because the mind wants everything to be permanent when everything in the world is impermanent. Okay? So I'm going to say that a few times and I'll give you examples. The discontentedness, the pleasant feelings, painful feelings, neither painful nor pleasant, is caused by craving, desire, attachment, the longing, the yearning, the chasing after things. The mind wants things to be permanent, but yet you live in an impermanent world. We've already established that you live in an impermanent world. So let me give you some examples. Say you meet a brand new person who's like a boyfriend or girlfriend, someone who's going to show you affection and care, right? When you first meet this person, you might get so excited. Wow, somebody's sending you text messages, somebody's inviting you out on dates, you're going places together like the movies, you're going to dinner, maybe you're going to the park, spending time with great conversations, maybe you're even having intimate contact together. And it feels so pleasurable for you. You get so excited by this. Well, it's only a matter of time before your relationship's over and the relationship ends. And now you're sad. Now you're frustrated. Now you're annoyed. Now you feel lonely. Now you feel bored. Why? Because of the second noble truth. The Buddha is explaining it to you. It's your craving. It's your desire. You're longing, yearning. You're wanting this relationship to be permanent, when in reality, the relationship is impermanent. It was always impermanent. You just didn't realize that, right? The mind lacked wisdom of these natural laws. You didn't realize that this relationship is impermanent. So the mind was holding on and craving for it to be permanent. Even if you guys were together for the rest of your life, more likely than not, one of you would have died first. And then you're going to feel like you're missing this person and lonely. It's not the love that's causing the painful feelings. This is where people get really confused in the unenlightened state. They think that those painful feelings you experience is because you love this person. So like when grandma and grandpa die and you feel sad, or mom or dad or brothers and sisters and you feel sad, you're not a bad person. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just that the mind is craving, it's desiring, it's longing, it's yearning, it's wanting grandma and grandpa to be alive permanently. The mind thinks that if I get what I want, I will be happy. But if I don't get what I want, I'm going to feel angry and sad and frustrated, right? So the mind wants grandma and grandpa to be permanent, but yet they are impermanent. Because they were born, they had to die. They arose, they change, and they fade away. They're impermanent. right? They are an impermanent object. So it's not the love, because love is a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well. This active goodwill towards all beings. That doesn't cause painful feelings. That is, hey, I would like to see you be well. I would like to see you have good things happen for you in your life. That doesn't cause painful feelings. It's the craving, it's the desire, it's the wanting things to be a certain way. And the mind can only be happy if it gets what it wants. And if it doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings. Here's another example. Say you have a brand new car, and you get this brand new car and you drive it off the parking lot of the dealer. You feel so happy. Wow, brand new car, perfect color, new car smell, driving around the neighborhood, all your friends can see you in this brand new car, your ego's really in there, right? And you park your car in front of a store and you go inside and you come out and there's a scratch on your car. Oh man, you're so frustrated, right? It's not the scratch that's causing you to be frustrated. And it's not the person who scratched your car. They're not causing you to be frustrated. What's causing you to be frustrated is your craving, your desire, wanting this car to look permanently beautiful when it's not possible. We're not talking about what's wise or unwise here, right? Because it would be wise to never scratch somebody's car. You would try to avoid scratching people's car. That's what we do when we walk through a parking lot. We're not interested in scratching somebody's car. It would be wonderful if nobody ever scratched your car. But that's not the world we live in. We live in an impermanent world. This car is going to get scratched. The paint is going to fade, right? We're going to have issues with this car. The upholstery is going to get ripped and torn. There's going to be tires that need to be changed, oil that's not going to need to be changed, things like this, right? So if we crave permanence and we want this car to look permanently beautiful, when we see that scratch, you'll get frustrated. You'll get agitated and annoyed. There's people sitting in jail today for murder because they were craving permanence. They saw someone scratch their car and they murdered that person. They got into a fight, they hit the person really hard, they got a baseball bat or a gun or a knife or whatever, and now they're sitting in jail because of that, because their mind was craving permanence. And when they didn't get what they wanted, they got angry and sad or frustrated or agitated. And now through their their unskillful conduct, their speech and their actions, they did harm to somebody else, right? This is what happens when your mind's shaken up like that. You're going to make unwise decisions about your moral conduct, and you're going to become unskillful. Your intentions, your speech, and your actions, because your mind is angry. So the Buddha is explaining to you the cause of this anger, that it's craving, desire, attachment, the longing, the yearning. And when you experience those painful feelings, like I mentioned, you'll tend to push people away. You tend to be bitter, harsh, and hostile to people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. And you'll even put your expectations on people and try to control them. These are the three things that the unenlightened mind does when it misunderstands the problem. Is you'll tend to push people away, or you push the situation away, thinking that that's going to solve the problem. But it doesn't, because that's not the real problem. That's not the cause of the problem. That's why when you push people out of your life, you still get angry. You still get frustrated. Or if you're bitter, harsh, and hostile towards people with your intentions, your speech, and your actions, they choose to leave out of your life. Or if you put your expectations on people, you're trying to control them and get them to do things your way, then they choose to leave out of your life. So this doesn't actually solve the problem, because the real problem is inside your mind. But because of the mind's misunderstanding, it's trying to solve the problem externally. It thinks that if I push this person away, or I'm bitter, harsh, and hostile, I can fear them into doing things my way, or I'll put my expectations on them and get them to do things my way, and then I'll get my pleasant feelings. That's what I'll get. So you can independently verify this second noble truth. Take a certain situation where you've recently been angry or agitated or annoyed or frustrated, and reflect on it. Think about it. It might have been this morning. It might have been yesterday. It might have been last week. And at that time, you might have been looking for somebody to blame, because this is what the unenlightened mind does. It'll tend to blame other people for what you're experiencing. This is common in the unenlightened mind because of its lack of wisdom. But now, with more wisdom and fresh eyes, look at that situation where you were angry, you were irritated, you were annoyed. What was it that you wanted? You wanted something. And if you would have got it, you would have got happy. But because you didn't get it, you got angry or sad or frustrated or agitated or annoyed. This is how you independently verify what I'm sharing with you is true, through your own direct experience. And if you're having difficulty seeing how your mind is causing your own discontent feelings, let me know and I'll help you. Because that's what right view is. That's what the Buddha is describing to you, is that your mind is causing your own discontent feelings. This is why you can get to enlightenment, is because your mind is causing these feelings. If it was mom and dad and brother and sister and boss and neighbors that are causing your mind to be discontent, well, you've got to train the whole world to do things your way, right? You've got 8 billion people in the world to train, and they've all got to do things your way. And if everybody in the world does things your way, you'll be happy. But as soon as the mind doesn't get what it wants, it's not happy. It's frustrated, it's agitated or annoyed. So here you can independently verify through looking at your own situation. Say you come back to your hotel room and the housekeepers didn't make your bed and you get angry. Well, that's because you were craving for them to make your bed. Where you can stay calm, you can stay peaceful, you can make other options, make other choices. You could choose to make the bed yourself. That's one option. Or you could choose to calmly go down to the front desk and ask if it would be possible for somebody to come make your bed and change your sheets, right? You could do those kinds of things. But with the anger in the mind, it won't do that. It'll be unskillful. It'll be angry and frustrated. It'll go down there and talk to the hotel staff in an unkind way. And what you would like to do is maintain your calmness and composure and make wise decisions, right? But if you have craving, desire, attachment in your mind, you can't do that. If you want mom to do this and she does it, you'll get happy. But if she does this over here, you'll get angry and frustrated. And now you'll talk in unkind ways to your mom and you'll damage your relationship, right? So you would like to eliminate these cravings, desires, attachments. That's what the third noble truth is explaining to you. The way to eliminate discontentedness is to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. When you can train your mind to eliminate craving, desire, attachment through the various tools and techniques that the Buddha shares, that's what will eliminate your discontentedness. Because your mind is causing it, you can actually eliminate it. If it was everybody else who was causing it, you have no ability to train your mind. You have no ability to get rid of your anger. You'll just always be angry. But that's not true. Other people aren't causing you to be angry. It's your own mind. And this is why you can eliminate it. That's why the Buddha was able to eliminate it. That's why other people have been able to eliminate their anger and all these other discontent feelings. But if you went around continuing to falsely believe, that other people are causing you to be angry, you'll never solve the problem. Because you keep pushing people away, you'll be bitter, harsh, and hostile, and you'll put your expectations on people. But when you can see the truth, that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, now you can actually get to a real solution. And the Buddha provides various guidance with breathing mindfulness meditation and generosity and other teachings to help you eliminate craving, desire, attachment. But the fourth noble truth is explaining the complete solution. It's the path to eliminating discontentedness is the eightfold path. This is the complete perfect plan that the Buddha shares in order to help you get to enlightenment. You would need to learn each individual step. And this is what I do in the various courses and retreats. This week on Monday, I'm going to be starting a brand new course where I'm going to be taking students through over 5 days from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., all the different teachings that build up the foundation. And one of the teachings I'm going to share is the Eightfold Path, where I'm going to walk through step by step by step, using the words of the Buddha and explaining to you all these steps. But the first thing you need to learn is right view. What right view is the right view is your mind is causing your own discontentedness. Wrong view would be to blame other people. As long as you go around blaming other people for what you experience, you'll never get the wisdom that you need to make better decisions and experience improved results in your life. You'll just stay stuck in this continuous cycle of making unwise decisions, experiencing unwholesome results, blaming other people for those things, and you're still making the unwise decisions, you're still experiencing the unwholesome results, and then you keep blaming other people. This is what the unenlightened mind does, not because you're a bad person, but just because the mind lacks wisdom. So if you establish right view, what you do is you understand that your mind's causing these discontent feelings. And what I would encourage you to do is now and forever, whenever you're angry or frustrated or agitated or annoyed, look inside and figure out what is it that's causing my mind to be discontent. There's some craving, desire, attachment there. And where you need help, you can reach out to me and I will help you. So for example, students have asked me before, they said, David, I left home the other day to go to work, and my house looked a certain way. And when I came home, my wife had this craft project all over the house. The house was a wreck. And I got angry and frustrated when I first walked in. How did my mind cause this frustration? I wasn't even there. She's the one who messed up the house. It wasn't me. She's the one who caused me to be angry. So I had to show them, your mind's craving permanence. You're wanting the house to look a certain way permanently. And it's just not possible. When you came home, it didn't look the way you expected, the way you wanted. And that's not permanent. Your house can't permanently look that way. But just like your wife has this craft project all over the house, that's not permanent either. She's going to put it away. And maybe you help her to put it away, right? So when the mind's craving for the house to look one permanent way, when it looks different, then the mind's going to be angry or frustrated or agitated or annoyed or some other discontent feeling, right? So you'll see this in your life. If your bank account's here, you'll be happy because you're craving for it to be there. But then that'll wear off and you'll want more and you'll want more, you want more. And then when it drops down, you'll be sad. You'll be frustrated because your mind's not getting what it wants, right? And this is how the mind's causing its own discontent feelings. But you can get liberated from all of this through training the mind. The Eightfold Path is the complete, perfect plan to be able to do that. So this is everything that I have to share with you guys. So you guys can ask questions here at the temple, or those of you guys online, if you have questions, you can put it into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom. Or in Zoom, you can raise your hand electronically and ask any questions that you like. So do you guys have any questions, either here or online? Yes. You have to turn it on. I think it's not on.
In oath says, may you never apart until death, let you apart, something like that. So will true love exist? Is it permanent or impermanent?
True love is
love, you know?
Unconditional love, meaning there's no condition that causes it. So therefore, it's permanent. There's what I might refer to as conditional love, although there's no such thing as conditional love. In the unenlightened state, what we say is, I love you, therefore I want you to be with me because you make me happy. And as long as you're with me, I'll be happy. But when you go away from me, I'll be sad. This isn't actually love. This is craving, desire, attachment. Like say you meet a boyfriend or girlfriend and you guys get to know each other. Maybe after a month or 2 or 3, you might get to that pivotal moment in the relationship where you say, I love you. I've fallen in love with you, right? And then the relationship goes on. You have all these expectations of things that you want them to do. And when they do things your way, you're happy, right? When they do things your way, you're happy. But when they don't do things your way, you're sad and you're frustrated, angry. Eventually, the relationship becomes so discontent, you have to break up. And now you say, I've fallen out of love with you. I don't love you anymore, right? That's not actual love. That's craving, desire, attachment. It's selfishness. It's like, hey, if you do what I want, I will say I love you. But when you stop doing what I want, I don't love you anymore. That's not actually love. That's saying, hey, I'm the boss here. You do things my way, and hey, everything's good. I'll say I love you, and I'll do things to show you I love you. But when you stop doing what I want you to do, I won't love you anymore. This is not love. This is craving, desire, attachment masquerading as love. What true love is, which is permanent, is I love you as you are. I love you as you are. I don't want anything from you. I don't expect anything from you. I'm not trying to control you. I just love you as you are. Whatever you would like to do, fine with me. Up to you. right? So when we can get to true love, we love people as they are without putting our expectations or obligations on them. Over here, this craving, desire, attachment that masquerades as love, it's not permanent because it's conditional, right? And you'll sabotage your relationships. You'll crush your relationships. This is why if you've had broken relationships over and over and over again, this is why, because your mind doesn't understand true love yet, and it's not practicing true love. But true love, real love, unconditional love, that's actually permanent, because you didn't have to do anything for me to love you. So that way, that's because then you can't do anything for me to stop loving you. So before I ever met you, I love you. Loving you means I would like to see you be well. I have a genuine interest in seeing you be well. So before I ever met you, I already loved you. So no matter what you do, I don't suggest you do this, but say you went out and killed somebody and you called me from jail and you said, "Hey, David, I murdered somebody. Will you come see me? I need your help." Sure, I will come see you. I disagree with your choices and decisions to murder somebody, but I love you as a person. Sometimes people think if we disagree with the choices and decisions somebody makes, we can't love them anymore. But that's not love. So if you separate the choices and decisions that mom and dad make, and brothers and sisters and other people, if you see their choices and decisions are one thing, and the person is something different, and you can love the person while disagreeing with the choices and decisions that they make. This is a very key thing to understand, because not everyone's going to make decisions the same way as you, right? This is what the unenlightened mind wants, is the unenlightened mind wants everybody to make decisions the same way as you, because the ego's in there, and you think that everything you do is right, and everything that other people do is wrong. So when somebody does something opposite of what you think, then the mind will get angry and irritated. But if you understand impermanence, that it's not possible for everybody to make decisions in the same way. It's just not possible, because we've all had different experiences, so we're all going to make different decisions. And there's multiple wise decisions. It's not just one wise decision. There's multiple wise decisions. And what mom thinks is wise for her, with her full insight of what she thinks is wise, then maybe that's wise for her. And you don't see all the things that she sees. But because of the ego and your own cravings, you'll want mom to do things a certain way. And then you'll get angry when she doesn't do things your way. Or boyfriends or girlfriends or husbands or wives. And that's why people say, "I've fallen in love with you and I've fallen out of love with you." Because they disagree with their choices and decisions. And they feel like, "I can't love you because I disagree with your choices and decisions." But what's really happening is your cravings, desires, attachments aren't getting met. So if you can separate the choices and decisions in the person, and you see those as two separate things, you can love the person no matter what. You can have a genuine interest in seeing them be well while disagreeing with their choices and decisions. So I would disagree with somebody who murders or someone who rapes. I would disagree with their choices and decisions, but I can love them as a person, meaning I have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. Sure, maybe they need to go to jail, they need to go get some rehab, they need to go learn some things, but I can love this person and have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. I don't have to be angry at them, because anger in your own mind, it's only causing harm to you. It's not causing harm to others. It's only causing harm to your own mind. So you can eliminate that by eliminating your cravings and just loving people as they are. And yes, it's permanent. Unconditional love, true love is permanent. But the unenlightened mind struggles with how to practice that, because you may not have relationships now where you have true love. Maybe mom and dad have true love, they have unconditional love, but they also have expectations. They want you to do things a certain way. So their true love is being polluted and tainted with their cravings and their expectations and their wants. So if they can get those cravings, desires, attachments out of the way, then their true love can shine through, where they don't want anything from you, they don't expect anything from you, they just love you as you are. But parents oftentimes get very confused with this because they don't have the wisdom of these teachings to be able to understand how to practice true love. But the more you learn true love and you practice true love, then you'll see the people around you will be able to practice true love more and more, because they'll understand it. So I gave you more of an answer than what you were looking for, but I thought it was needed, because I could have just said, yes, true love is permanent. but I figured I'd give you more to understand what true love is, because most people don't understand what true love is. Okay. I don't see any questions. Let me just check one more time on Facebook and YouTube. Oh, question? Yeah, if you could use the microphone, then the people online will be able to hear us.
I do have a discontent feeling that may not appear on the slide, which is I feel...
Which feeling?
I feel sometimes, like a lot of times, I feel lost or disoriented.
Lost,
yes. Uh-huh. So it's like if our identities are impermanent, that our effort to chase an anchor seems like pointless. In this case, I don't know how to deal with this kind of like lost feeling.
Okay, so with lust, it's not a feeling. Lust is a mental aspect of the mind, which is craving, desire, attachment. Lust is the longing, the yearning, the wanting things. Most people associate lust with like sexual in nature, but it doesn't have to be. Some people use the word lust in replacing it for...
I think it's about pronunciation. It's like not lust, it's lost.
Lost.
Yes.
L-O-S-T.
L-O-S-T.
Okay. I thought it was L-U-S-T. Okay. Lost, like feeling like lost in the world. Yeah. So this can be true when you experience personal existence view, that you feel like I don't even know who I am anymore. Right?
Like you said no identity is permanent.
Yeah.
And I don't think I feel like I have an anchor in the world.
Yeah. So this is the problem when the mind has personal existence view, is that it's trying to grab onto something and it's trying to feel rooted, that this is me, this is my identity, this is who I am. And when that's not there, when it's starting to strip away, you can feel lost in the world. But that's because you haven't fully stripped away personal existence view. You haven't fully trained the mind to eliminate its cravings, desires, attachments. For someone like you that's starting to experience this already, you have already made a certain amount of progress on the path without maybe necessarily being on the path. So the more that you learn the teachings of the Buddha and you train your mind, you can fully get rid of personal existence view and you won't feel lost anymore. But because the mind is trying to hold on to something and anchor itself into something, when you can't grab onto something, you feel lost and like there's nothing here, you know. And this is common as you're starting to strip away personal existence view. So it's not a feeling, it's more of a state of mind, more of a condition of the mind versus a feeling of that. So you can actually eradicate this by training on the Eightfold Path. You'll be able to get to the point where you don't feel lost in the world and you have more of ambition and motivation and enthusiasm about the things that you're doing in the world and the things that you're contributing to the world. You'll feel more purpose about what it is that you're doing. But right now that's hard because these pollutions are in the mind. So as you train, if you decide to train your mind more, you can eradicate that from the mind. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions anywhere else. So what I'm going to do is just end by thanking all of you guys here at the temple. Thank all of you guys online that are joining us. Thank you for deciding today's the day that you'd like to learn the teachings of the Buddha. Here, it's actually raining outside, so you guys are welcome to hang out here, even though we're finishing class, and there's even tables outside that you can hang out as well between here and there. Don't feel like you have to run off because it's pouring down raining outside, which is really nice to have some rain, right? You can be happy and joyful when it rains because it cleans up the streets, it makes the air feel nice and fresh, it waters the plants, and we get flowers and vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. But if you guys would like to learn more, on Sundays and Wednesdays, I have classes here where you can learn continuously throughout your journey. You can get books and audiobooks and videos and podcasts and quizzes. They're all available to you at no cost. There's in-person and online classes, courses and retreats. There's online programs. There's ability to get help through in-person or online. You can meet privately in learn the teachings and kind of apply them in your day-to-day life. We even have this Facebook group that you can join. So there's lots of ways for you to get help to learn, and it's all available at no cost. So if you would like help, just let me know. You can reach out to me. But I have all these various courses and programs, retreats and books and things that will help you and guide you on the path. And I'm just here to help you where it's your journey to enlightenment. I'm like a tour guide pointing out to you the things that you need to learn, but each individual student can choose to learn, and various programs that I have will be able to help you to be able to do that. So as you need help, just feel free to reach out, and I'm here to help you. Okay, so perhaps we'll see you guys in a future class, okay? Have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. Sawadee Kap. Sawadee Kap.
Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.